Hey guys, it's SubSolicario2213 here again with a brand new video. Today I'll be discussing what new Pokemon I'd like to see in the 7th generation. As many of you know, Pokemon can be based on things like animals, mythology, inanimate objects, and even food. So in this video, I'll be listing the things that I'd like the next generation of Pokemon to be influenced by throughout their creation process. So without further ado, let's get to it. Animals. Animals are extremely important in the Pokemon franchise as they serve as a foundation for many of the Pokemon designs. Poliwag is based off a tadpole, Pikachu is an electric mouse, Pyroar is a lion, and the list goes on. Australian animals would be so cool to have, as we have kangaroos, emus, platypus, koalas, echidnas, and lots of other cute little creatures. Perhaps having a tiny little emu head poking out of an egg as the first stage, and then create a fully grown emu as the evolution, that'd be pretty cool. Or even a grass ghost type koala that lurks around in the forest, climbs trees and then drops down unexpectedly to frighten people. Or even create a Pokemon that resembles a saber-toothed tiger. I really liked Diego in Ice Age and I can't believe they haven't designed a saber Pokemon yet. I've always been fond of snails, ever since I was a kid, and I used to collect them and feed them lettuce all the time. And I know there are some snail Pokemon like Magcargo and Omastar, but there's no garden snail looking Pokemon. They need to create a grass type snail with leaves and vines coming out of its shell. Now that'd be a Pokemon I'd like in my party. You know what Pokemon they haven't created but really should? A dolphin type Pokemon. I mean, they have a whale Pokemon, right? Well, they should really make a dolphin counterpart, as a dolphin would make a great foundation for a new design. Lastly, do you remember when you were a kid and your classmates always used to bring little fish tanks to school and say that sea monkeys lived in there? Not that I could actually ever see them, but if you look at up close photos of them, they actually look really interesting and bizarre. They could take the name literally and actually make a monkey that lives in the water, or they could design a creature similar to the tiny crustacean. Mythology. I've always loved mythology and learning about ancient history. It is a really fascinating topic and could make for a great base for a Pokemon design. There are quite a few Pokemon already based off myths. Shiftry is based off a Tengu, which is from Japanese myths. Moltres was influenced by a phoenix, and Tornadus, Thundurus, and Landorus is based off the kami of Shinto religion. However, I have quite a few ideas for Game Freak, so here they are. We've already got some horse Pokemon like Ponyta and Rapidash, but we don't have a Pegasus Pokemon. I'd really love a horse with wings, and if Game Freak can give me one in the next Pokemon generation, then I'd be one happy person. A Chimera is a monstrous fire-breathing hybrid creature composed of the parts of more than one animal. Usually depicted as a lion with the head of a goat arising from its back and a tail that's a snake, it would be an amazingly powerful Pokemon. Could you imagine battling with one of these in your party? Even a Cerberus would be so cool. A dog with 3 heads, kind of like Fluffy from Harry Potter. There was a lot of speculation going around that Houndoom's Mega Evolution would have 3 heads, but to no avail. Come on Game Freak, you can redeem yourself here. Other mythical creatures like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, and mermaids would be pretty cool to have as well. Inanimate objects. Alright. I know some people aren't particularly fond of these types of Pokemon, but every generation's got them. There's Voltorb, Drifloon, Nosepass, Trubbish, and Klefki, just to name a few. But I've got a couple of ideas of my own. How about making a clock Pokemon? You could start out as having some hands and numbers floating about, then eventually evolving into a giant grandfather clock. It could be the Timekeeper Pokemon and be a psychic type. Or if you aren't keen on having a clock as a Pokemon, how about a treble or bass clef? There seems to be a few musical Pokemon, such as Chatot, Kricketune, and Meloetta, but we haven't actually had any explicit musical note Pokemon. Or how about an origami Pokemon? I've been doing a lot of origami lately, and I think it would be cool to have a Pokemon that resembles an origami model and could transform into other models. That'll be cool, right? Food. We've all got to eat, so why not have more ideas for Pokemon based off food? We have an ice cream Pokemon, a cotton candy Pokemon, and even a cherry Pokemon, but these all seem to be for dessert. What about main course? Hear me out, okay? What about an edamame bean Pokemon? These beans are very popular in Japan, So why wouldn't they create this kind of little Pokemon? It could be a cute green bean pod with soybeans popping out from the pod. Or sticking with a Japanese theme, a rice Pokemon? The first stage could be a meager rice grain, and then it could evolve into a rice ball, and then a big rice monster, dripping with rice grains. And wait for it, how about a potato? I know, it sounds silly, but it could start out being like a little potato root, and then evolve into an actual potato. And here's the cool part, it could have 3 forms, kind of like a cast form. The first form could be mashed potato, the second fries, and the third chips. Seriously though, I doubt they'd ever make that. It is kind of silly. Well, that concludes this video of me discussing what new Pokemon the next generation could bring. If you have any other ideas, drop a comment down below. And please subscribe if you'd like to see more Pokemon related content. Thank you so much for watching and see you later!